Marcus Cole hated space stations. They always smelled wrong. This one, Horizon's Edge, smelled like engine oil, recycled air, and something sweet that he could not name. He walked through the lower districts with his hands in his pockets and his eyes moving from shadow to shadow. He was a cargo hauler now. That was what he told himself every morning. Not a Marine anymore. Not a soldier. Just a man who moved boxes from one place to another for money. Simple work. Safe work. The kind of work that did not get people killed. The job today was strange. A contact he had never met before offered him triple the normal rate to escort a single passenger through the station. No questions asked. The passenger would wear a hood and would not speak. Marcus just needed to get them from Dock 17 to a private ship on the far side of the station. Easy money. That was what he thought. The passenger waited for him in a dark corner of the dock. She was tall and thin, wrapped in a gray cloak that covered everything except her hands. Her fingers were long and pale, almost glowing in the dim light. Marcus had seen enough aliens to know she was not human, but he did not know what species she was. "You are the escort?" Her voice was soft, like wind through leaves. "That is me," Marcus said. "Stay close. Do not talk. We will be there in 20 minutes. She nodded and followed him into the maze of corridors that made up the lower districts. The lower districts were where the STATION hid its ugly parts. Broken lights flickered overhead. Pipes dripped water that smelled like metal. The people down here were the ones who had nowhere else to go. Smugglers, criminals, refugees. Marcus fit right in. They walked in silence for 10 minutes. Marcus kept his pace steady, his eyes always watching. Something felt wrong. The corridors were too empty. Usually, there were beggars on every corner, dealers in every shadow. Today, there was no one. "We need to move faster," Marcus said. "Is something wrong?" "Maybe. Just stay close." They turned a corner and Marcus stopped. 4 figures stood in the corridor ahead. They wore black masks and carried weapons that hummed with energy. Plasma blades. Military grade. Not the kind of thing street criminals carried. Marcus turned around. 4 more figures blocked the path behind them. "Well," he said quietly, "this is bad." The passenger pulled back her hood. Marcus saw her face for the first time. She was beautiful in a way that did not seem real. Her skin glowed faintly silver. Her eyes were large and violet, filled with fear. Her ears were pointed, and her features were sharp and delicate. She was Lunari. Marcus had heard of them. One of the oldest species in the galaxy. Powerful, rich. Their empire covered 1,000 worlds. "They found me," she whispered. "Who are you?" "My name is Vera. I am the 3rd princess of the Lunari Empire." Marcus stared at her. Then he looked at the 8 assassins closing in on them. Then he looked back at her. "You could have mentioned that before. Would it have changed anything?" "No," Marcus admitted. "But I would have asked for more money." The first assassin attacked. He was fast, faster than any human could be. His plasma blade cut through the air toward Marcus's throat. But Marcus was not there anymore. He dropped low, let the blade pass over his head, and drove his fist into the assassin's stomach. The alien doubled over. Marcus grabbed his head and slammed it into the wall. 1 down. 7 to go. The next 2 came together. Marcus grabbed a broken pipe from the floor and swung it hard. The pipe connected with the first assassin's arm. Bones cracked. The assassin screamed. Marcus spun and drove the pipe into the second one's knee. The alien fell. A blade cut across Marcus's back. Pain exploded through his body. He could feel blood running down his spine. He did not stop. He turned and caught the attacker's wrist, twisted it until the blade fell, and then used the alien's own weapon to cut him down. Princess Vera pressed herself against the wall. She had never seen anything like this. The Lunari were an old species. They had evolved beyond violence centuries ago. They used words and politics and money to solve their problems. They had forgotten what real fighting looked like. This human had not forgotten. Marcus moved like water. Every attack was answered. Every blow was returned twice as hard. He took wounds that would have killed a Lunari. A plasma burn on his shoulder. A deep cut on his arm. A blade that slid between his ribs. He kept fighting. 2 more assassins fell. Then a third. The remaining assassins hesitated. They had expected an easy target. They had not expected this. "What are you?" one of them asked. Marcus did not answer. He attacked. The fight lasted another 2 minutes. When it was over, 4 assassins were dead. 3 were unconscious. 1 had run away, disappearing into the dark corridors. Marcus stood in the middle of the carnage. His chest heaved. Blood dripped from a dozen wounds. His vision was starting to blur. "Are you hurt?" he asked the princess. "No, but you are badly wounded. You need medical attention." "I know." Marcus took 1 step forward, and then his legs stopped working. He fell to his knees. The pipe clattered from his hand. "That is probably not good." Princess Vera rushed to his side. She caught him before he hit the ground. His blood stained her silver robes. She had never touched a human before. His skin was hot, so much hotter than a Lunari's. His heart beat fast and strong, even as his life poured out of him. "Help!" she screamed. "Someone help!" Station security arrived 3 minutes later. They found a princess of the Lunari Empire holding a dying human in her arms, surrounded by the bodies of assassins. Marcus's last thought before the darkness took him was about his cat. He hoped someone would remember to feed her. Her name was Noodle, and she got cranky when she was hungry. Then there was nothing but black. Princess Vera did not leave his side. She rode with him in the medical transport. She waited outside the surgery room for 6 hours. When the doctors told her he might not survive the night, she told them that was not acceptable. "You will save him," she said. It was not a request. The doctors looked at each other. They had never seen a Lunari princess show this much emotion. It was strange. It was uncomfortable. But her eyes left no room for argument. They worked through the night. They used every technique they knew. And somehow, against all odds, the human survived. Marcus Cole did not know it yet, but his life would never be simple again. He had saved a princess. In the Lunari Empire, that meant something. It meant everything. When he woke up, he would discover just how much his world had changed. Marcus opened his eyes slowly. The first thing he noticed was that he was not dead. That was good. The second thing he noticed was that he was lying in the softest bed he had ever felt. It was like sleeping on a cloud made of silk. He tried to sit up. His body screamed in protest. The wounds were healed, but his muscles remembered the pain. He fell back onto the pillows and stared at the ceiling. The ceiling was beautiful. It glowed with soft blue and purple light, like looking at the night sky through colored glass. Patterns moved across it slowly, like clouds or waves. Marcus had no idea where he was, but it was definitely not a station hospital done. Then he turned his head and saw them. 12 figures stood around his bed. They were all Lunari. He could tell by their glowing skin and their large, beautiful eyes. They wore robes of silver and violet that looked more expensive than anything Marcus had ever owned. Each one wore a crown or a circlet of some kind. Marcus blinked several times. Maybe he was still dreaming. Maybe the blood loss had damaged his brain. "He is awake," one of them said. It was an old Lunari with long white hair and deep lines on his face. Despite his age, he stood straight and tall. Power radiated from him like heat from a fire. "Where am I?" Marcus asked. His voice was rough from sleep. "You are aboard the Eternal Dawn," the old Lunari said. "The flagship of the Lunari Imperial Fleet. I am King Aldrich. You saved my daughter's life." Marcus looked around the room again. His brain was having trouble processing this information. A king, an Imperial flagship. 12 people who were obviously very important, all standing around his bed like he was some kind of exhibit. "Okay," he said slowly. "That is a lot to take in. How do you feel?" A familiar voice asked. Princess Vera stepped forward from the group. She had changed from her blood-stained robes into a clean dress of pale blue. She looked even more beautiful than he remembered, though also very tired. "Like I got hit by a transport ship," Marcus said. "But alive, which is more than I expected." "You almost died," Vera said. "3 times during the surgery. Your heart stopped. They brought you back." "Sounds about right. I have always been too stubborn to die properly." A young Lunari at the back of the group laughed. He looked younger than the others, with a mischievous gleam in his violet eyes. The other royals turned to look at him with surprise, as if laughter was something unusual here. "Forgive my youngest son," King Aldrich said. "Prince Dorian forgets himself sometimes." "I like him," Marcus said. "He seems normal." That made Dorian laugh even harder. Several of the other royals looked offended. King Aldrich simply raised an eyebrow. "You are direct," the king observed. "That is unusual for someone speaking to the ruler of 1,000 worlds." "Sorry, I am not very good at being careful with words. Never learned how. Do not apologize. It is refreshing." King Aldrich stepped closer to the bed. "You saved my daughter, Marcus Cole. You fought 8 trained assassins alone. You took wounds that should have killed you. And you did not stop fighting until she was safe. It was my job. She paid me to get her to the ship safely. She paid you to escort her, not to die for her. There is a difference." Marcus did not have an answer for that. The truth was, he did not know why he had fought so hard. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the Marine training that he had never quite left behind. Or maybe it was something in her eyes when she looked at him. The fear, the hope, the trust. "In our culture," King Aldrich continued, "there is an ancient law. When someone saves the life of a royal, they become bound to our house. It is called the bond of debt. It cannot be broken." Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. What does that mean exactly? It means you are now part of the royal household. You have rights and responsibilities. You cannot simply leave. I have a ship. I have a cat. I have a life. Your ship has been brought aboard. Your cat has been retrieved. She's being cared for by our best animal handlers. As for your life, that is what we are here to discuss." Marcus lay back against the pillows and closed his eyes. This was not how he had expected his day to go. He had woken up this morning expecting to do a simple job and maybe eat some noodles for dinner. Now he was apparently a member of an alien royal family. "Is there any way out of this bond of debt thing?" "None that would not bring shame to both of us," King Aldrich said. "You would be seen as an oathbreaker. I would be seen as unable to honor my debts. Neither of us would benefit, so I am stuck here. That is one way to look at it." Princess Vera moved to sit on the edge of his bed. "Another way is to see it as an opportunity. You would have quarters in the palace, servants to attend you, access to the finest food, technology, and education in the empire. I do not need servants. I can make my own food. Can you make Lunari food? No? Then perhaps a cook would be helpful." Marcus opened his eyes and looked at her. She was trying to smile, but he could see the worry in her eyes. She felt guilty. He had nearly died protecting her, and now she was responsible for trapping him in a world he did not understand. "I am not angry at you," he said quietly. "This is not your fault. You did not ask to be attacked. You did not ask me to fight. I made my own choices." Some of the tension left her shoulders. "Thank you for understanding. I do not understand anything. But I am not angry." King Eldrick cleared his throat. "We will give you time to rest and recover. There is much to discuss, but it can wait. For now, know that you are safe here. You are honored here. Whatever you need, it will be provided." The king turned and walked toward the door. The other royals followed, filing out in a line of silver and violet. Only Prince Dorian paused at the door. "For what it is worth," the young prince said, "I am glad you are staying. This court is boring. Maybe a human will make things interesting." Then he was gone, and Marcus was alone with Princess Vera. "I should let you rest," she said, starting to stand. "Wait," Marcus caught her wrist gently. "One question. Is there coffee on this ship? Real coffee from Earth?" Vera smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. "I do not know what coffee is, but if you describe it to me, I will make sure we get some. It is a drink, brown, bitter, made from beans. Humans cannot function without it." "That sounds terrible." It is, but also wonderful. You will understand when you try it." Vera laughed softly. "Rest now, Marcus Cole. I will find your coffee. And when you are strong enough, I will show you your new home." She left the room, and Marcus stared at the glowing ceiling for a long time. His life had changed completely in the span of a few hours. He was trapped in an alien palace, bound by laws he did not understand, surrounded by people who saw him as something between a curiosity and a hero. But somewhere on this ship, his cat Noodle was being cared for by the finest animal handlers in the Empire. And a princess had promised to find him coffee. Maybe, Marcus thought, things could be worse. He closed his eyes and slept without dreams. 3 weeks had passed since Marcus woke up in that beautiful room on the ship. Now he was on Seraphil, the Lunari homeworld, and everything was strange. The planet was like something from a dream. The cities were made of crystal that caught the light and scattered it into rainbows. The sky was always purple and orange, stuck in an eternal twilight because of how the planet orbited its star. There were no harsh suns here, no cold nights. Just endless, beautiful dusk. Marcus hated it, not because it was ugly. It was the most beautiful place he had ever seen. He hated it because he did not belong. Every time he walked through the palace halls, people stared at him. Every time he spoke, his words sounded rough and wrong. Every time he ate, he used the wrong utensil or made the wrong gesture. The Lunari were polite about it. They always smiled and nodded and pretended not to notice. But Marcus noticed. He always noticed. His quarters were larger than any apartment he had ever lived in on Earth. He had a bedroom, a sitting room, a bathing room with pools of warm water, and a private garden that somehow existed inside the palace. Noodle loved the garden. She spent her days hunting the small insects that lived in the flowers and sleeping in patches of soft light. Marcus spent most of his time alone. He read about Lunari history. He practiced their language. He tried to understand their customs. But no matter how hard he tried, he always felt like an outsider. Then one day, there was a knock on his door. "Come in," he said. The door opened, and a young human woman walked in. She had brown hair tied back in a practical ponytail and eyes that sparkled with intelligence. She wore Lunari-style robes, but she moved like someone who had grown up on Earth. "Hello," she said. "My name is Elena. I have been assigned as your cultural advisor." Marcus blinked. "My what?" "Cultural advisor. I am here to help you understand the Lunari and to help them understand you." I have lived here since I was 7 years old. My mother was a diplomat. I know both worlds. They sent me a translator. I prefer advisor. It sounds less like you need help. Marcus smiled for the first time in days. I do need help. I have been here 3 weeks, and I still do not know which fork to use at dinner. There are no forks in Lunari dining. They use small sticks. That explains a lot. Elena laughed and sat down across from him. The court does not know what to do with you. You are bound to the royal family, but you have no title, no role, no purpose. That makes people nervous. What am I supposed to do? I was a cargo hauler. Before that, I was a soldier. I do not know how to be whatever they want me to be. Then do not try to be what they want. Be what you are. The king did not save you because he wanted another polite courtier. He has thousands of those. He saved you because you did something remarkable. Marcus looked down at his hands. The scars from the fight were still visible, thin white lines across his knuckles. I just fought. That is all I know how to do. Then maybe that is what they need. Over the next few days, Elena became his guide and his friend. She taught him the small things that made life in the palace easier. Which nobles to avoid. Which servants could be trusted. How to walk into a room without causing whispers. And slowly, Marcus began to find his place. Princess Vera visited him often. She would come to his quarters in the evening, after her official duties were done, and they would talk for hours. She was curious about Earth, about human customs, about his life before the attack. He was curious about her, about the pressure of being a princess, about the secrets that filled this palace. Someone in the court tried to kill you, Marcus said one evening. Have they found out who? Vera's face darkened. No, the assassins were professionals. They left no traces. The investigation has found nothing. That does not make sense. Professional assassins cost money. A lot of money. Someone paid for them. Someone arranged the attack. There must be evidence somewhere. The investigators have looked. There is nothing. Marcus was quiet for a moment. His instincts were buzzing. Something about this felt wrong. In his experience, professional operations always left traces. You just had to know where to look. Can I see the investigation files? He asked. You? Why? Because I used to track people for a living. Before the first was a cargo hauler. Before I was a Marine. I worked with military intelligence. I know how to find things that other people miss. Vera studied him with those violet eyes. The king would have to approve it, then ask him. She did. And to everyone's surprise, King Aldrich agreed. The investigation files were massive. Thousands of pages of interviews, evidence reports, financial records, and security footage. The Lunari investigators had been thorough, but they had been looking for the wrong things. Marcus spent 3 days reading everything. He did not sleep much. He made notes. He drew diagrams. He connected dots that no one else had seen. On the 4th day, he asked for a meeting with the king. The throne room was enormous, a cathedral of crystal and light. King Aldrich sat on a throne that seemed to grow from the floor itself. Princess Vera stood at his right hand. Prince Dorian lounged against a pillar, pretending not to be interested. You asked to see me, the king said. What have you found? Marcus laid out his notes on a table. The investigators looked at the assassins. They looked at the attack. But they did not look at the timing. Explain. The Summit of Crowns is in 6 weeks. It happens once every 10 years. The 7 great powers of the galaxy will renegotiate territorial boundaries. The Lunari Empire will be making important decisions that affect billions of lives. We know this. But do you know that Princess Vera was the only royal traveling alone that day? Your other children had full security details. Your wife was on the homeworld. You were protected by the Imperial Guard. Vera was the only target. Vera spoke up. I was traveling in secret. No one knew where I was. Someone knew. Someone inside the palace. Marcus pointed to a name in his notes. Lord Thane. He is your Minister of Internal Affairs. He is also the cousin of a Morthax trade representative. 3 days before the attack, he accessed the schedule of royal travel. He should not have access to that information. His clearance is not high enough. King Aldrich's eyes narrowed. Lord Thane has served this court for 80 years. He is above suspicion. No one is above suspicion. Not when your daughter almost died. Marcus met the king's gaze without flinching. I also found payments. Hidden accounts. Money flowing from Morthax territory to accounts controlled by shell companies. Those companies made payments to the mercenary guild that employs the assassins. The room was silent. You are accusing a noble lord of treason, King Aldrich said slowly, based on financial records and scheduling access. I am giving you evidence. What you do with it is your choice. King Aldrich stood from his throne. He walked slowly down the steps until he stood face to face with Marcus. The king was taller, older, more powerful in every way that mattered. But Marcus did not look away. You are either very brave or very foolish, the king said. Probably both. The king studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. Perhaps, King Aldrich said, your species has gifts we failed to appreciate. I will have Lord Thane investigated. If you are right, you will have done this empire a great service. If you are wrong, there will be consequences. I understand. Good. The king turned back to his throne. You may go. Marcus bowed, a gesture Elena had taught him, and left the throne room. Princess Vera caught up with him in the corridor. That was dangerous, she said. Accusing a lord in front of my father. I know. Why did you do it? Marcus stopped and looked at her. Because someone tried to kill you. And whoever it was, they are still out there. Still planning. Still waiting for another chance. I will not let that happen. Vera's eyes softened. You barely know me. I know enough. He started walking again. Now, if you will excuse me, I have not eaten in 2 days, and I hear there is coffee in the kitchen. Behind him, Vera smiled. Maybe, she thought, having a human in the palace was not such a bad thing after all. The planet Accord Prime was neutral ground. It belonged to no empire, no species, no power. It existed for one purpose only, to host the Summit of Crowns, where the 7 great powers of the galaxy came together to settle their differences without war. Marcus stepped off the royal transport and looked around. The landing platform was crowded with delegations from across the galaxy. He saw species he recognized and many he did not. Tall insectoids with gleaming shells, aquatic beings in mobile water tanks, towering reptilians who looked like they could crush a transport ship with their bare hands. Stay close to me, Princess Vera whispered, and try not to start any fights. I never start fights. I just finish them. That is not comforting. The Lunari delegation moved through the crowds toward the great hall where the summit would take place. King Aldrich walked at the front, his silver robes flowing behind him. Princess Vera and Prince Dorian followed, with Marcus walking slightly behind them. Elena had stayed on the ship, but she had given him hours of preparation. Remember, she had said, every species here will judge you. Humans are new to the galactic stage. We have only been in space for 300 years. Some of these empires have existed for 10,000. They think we are children. Prove them wrong. Marcus intended to do exactly that. The Great Hall was a masterpiece of neutral design. It borrowed elements from every culture represented at the summit. Crystal pillars from the Lunari, stone walls carved by the Vethani, water features for the Koldori. Even the temperature was carefully controlled to be uncomfortable for everyone equally. The Lunari delegation took their seats. Marcus stood behind Princess Vera, watching the other delegations file in. The Vethani arrived first. They were insectoids, covered in hard shells that ranged from deep green to shimmering gold. Their eyes were multifaceted, seeing in spectrums humans could not imagine. They were warriors, famous across the galaxy for their discipline and their ferocity. They respected strength above all else. The Kaldari came next, swimming in their mobile tanks. They were aquatic beings with long, flexible bodies and fins that changed color with their emotions. They were traders and merchants, controlling most of the galaxy's shipping lanes. They respected cunning and deals done. Then came the Morthax. Marcus felt his body tense as they entered. The Morthax were massive reptilians, standing 8 feet tall and weighing at least 600 pounds. Their scales were dark red, almost black. Their eyes were yellow with slit pupils. They moved with the slow confidence of apex predators who had never known fear. And at the front of their delegation was Lord Grath. Marcus recognized him from the investigation files. Grath was the Morthax ambassador, the one whose financial records had connected to the assassination attempt. Lord Thane had been arrested 2 weeks ago, and under questioning, he had confessed everything. The Morthax had funded the attack. Lord Grath had coordinated it, but there was no proof that could not be disputed. The Morthax claimed the money was for trade purposes. They claimed Lord Thane was lying to save himself. Without hard evidence, there could be no formal accusation. The summit began with the usual ceremonies. Speeches about peace and cooperation. Promises that meant nothing. Marcus stood silently behind Princess Vera and watched. Hours passed. Negotiations were slow and careful. Every word was measured. Every offer was analyzed for hidden meanings. Marcus found it exhausting just to watch. Then, during a break in the proceedings, Lord Grath approached the Lunari delegation. He was even more massive up close. His head was level with Marcus's chest, and Marcus was not a short man. His scales gleamed under the hall's lights, and his teeth were visible when he smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "King Aldrich," Grath said, "I was sorry to hear about the attempt on your daughter's life. Such violence is terrible." "Indeed," King Aldrich replied coolly. "We were fortunate that she survived. Very fortunate." Grath's yellow eyes slid to Marcus. "And this must be the human I have heard so much about. The one who killed 4 assassins with his bare hands." "I used a pipe for some of them," Marcus said. Grath laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound that seemed to shake the air. "I like this one. He has spirit. It is rare to find spirit in such a small package." "Lord Grath," Princess Vera said, her voice cold, "perhaps we should return to the negotiations." "In a moment, Princess." Grath stepped closer to Marcus. He towered over the human, looking down with those predator eyes. "I have a question for your pet. Tell me, human, do you know what happened to the last species that challenged the Morthax?" "No, neither does anyone else. We erased them. Their worlds, their history, their very existence. They are forgotten now, as if they never lived at all." The threat was clear. Marcus did not back down. "That sounds like a lot of work," he said. "Maybe you should try making friends instead." The hall went silent. Every delegation had stopped to watch. No one spoke to a Morthax lord like that. No one. Grath's smile disappeared. "You dare mock me?" "I am not mocking you. I am telling you the truth. You can threaten all you want. It does not impress me. I have seen bigger bullies than you. I have fought bigger bullies than you. You could not fight me. You are a weak, fragile creature from a weak, fragile species. Your worlds are unprotected. Your fleets are pathetic. You survive only because no one has bothered to destroy you yet. And why am I still standing here? Grath moved fast for something so large. His hand shot out and grabbed Marcus by the throat, lifting him off the ground. Marcus's feet dangled in the air. He could not breathe. Because I have not decided to kill you yet, Grath hissed. The hall erupted in chaos. King Aldrich shouted something. Guards moved forward. But before anyone could act, Marcus did something unexpected. He smiled. Then he spoke, his voice choked but clear. Trial of Worth. Grath froze. His grip loosened slightly. What did you say? Trial of Worth. Marcus gasped for air. I challenge you. An ancient Morthax tradition. Personal combat to settle disputes of honor. You cannot refuse without admitting you are a coward. The Morthax delegation went rigid. The Vethani leaned forward with sudden interest. Even the Kaldori stopped their constant swimming. Grath dropped Marcus to the ground. Marcus fell to his knees, coughing and gasping, but he was still smiling. You know our traditions, Grath said slowly, but you cannot be serious. A trial of worth is to the submission, or until one party cannot continue. I would destroy you. Then accept, unless you are afraid. The hall was completely silent now. Every eye was on them. Grath's scales flushed darker. His pride would not let him refuse. Everyone knew it. Marcus knew it. And that was why he had made the challenge. Very well, Grath growled. Tomorrow in the arena of Accord. We will settle this the old way. And when I break every bone in your body, your species will learn its place in this galaxy. He turned and stormed back to the Morthax delegation. Princess Vara rushed to Marcus's side. Are you insane? He will kill you. Marcus got to his feet slowly. His throat hurt badly. He could already feel the bruises forming. Maybe, he said, but he insulted you. He called you fragile. He called your whole family weak. I could not let that stand. It is not worth dying for. Some things are. Marcus looked at her with steady eyes. You saved my life on that station. You could have let me bleed out. You stayed with me. You made sure I lived. Now it is my turn to do something for you. This is not the same. It is exactly the same. He reached out and touched her face gently. I will not let them look down on you. Not ever. Whatever it costs. Vera's eyes filled with tears. You stupid, stubborn human. That is what we are known for. Across the hall, the Vethani delegation was already making bets. The Kaldori were calculating odds. And the Morthax were sharpening their claws. Tomorrow would change everything. The arena of Accord was ancient. Its stone walls had seen thousands of trials over millions of years. Blood had been spilled here by species long forgotten. Glory had been won and lost beneath its open sky. Marcus stood in the center of the arena and tried not to think about how much his throat still hurt. The seats around him were filled. Representatives from every power in the galaxy had come to watch. The Lunari delegation sat in a private box, their faces tight with worry. Princess Vera gripped the railing so hard, her knuckles had turned white. King Aldrich watched with an expression Marcus could not read. On the other side of the arena, Lord Grath was warming up. He moved through fighting stances that looked practiced and deadly. His scales caught the light with every motion. He was a perfect killing machine, designed by millions of years of evolution to hunt and destroy. Marcus had spent the night talking to Elena. She had found everything she could about Morthax physiology, their strengths, their weaknesses, the places where their scales were thinnest. Their throats are vulnerable, she had told him, and there is a nerve cluster below their left arm. Strike it hard enough and it will paralyze the whole side of their body. Any other good news? They have two hearts. You would have to destroy both to kill one. I do not want to kill him. I just want to win. Then aim for the nerve cluster and pray. Now, standing in the arena, Marcus understood how foolish this was. Grath was twice his size, stronger, faster, more experienced. By every measure, Marcus should lose. But humans did not measure things the same way. Other species did. The announcer's voice echoed across the arena. The trial of worth will now begin. Lord Grath of the Morthax Dominion versus Marcus Cole of Earth. The combat will end when one party submits or is unable to continue. Let the trial commence. A horn sounded. Grath attacked. The first blow came faster than Marcus expected. He dodged left, but not fast enough. Grath's fist clipped his shoulder and sent him spinning. He hit the sand hard and rolled. Get up, he told himself. Get up or die. He got up. Grath was already coming. Marcus ducked under the next swing and threw a punch at the Morthax's stomach. It was like hitting a wall. His knuckles screamed. Grath did not even flinch. Is that all you have? Grath laughed. I expected more from the human who killed 4 assassins. Marcus backed away, circling. He needed time. He needed a plan. Grath did not give him either. The next attack was brutal. Grath grabbed Marcus's arm and twisted. Marcus felt the bone snap. Pain exploded through his body like fire. He screamed. Princess Vera stood up in her box. Stop the fight. He has not submitted, the announcer replied. The trial continues. Grath threw Marcus across the arena. He hit the sand and slid, leaving a trail of dust. His broken arm hung useless at his side. Every breath felt like knives in his chest. Get up. Get up. Get up. He got up. The crowd went silent. The Lunari stared. The Kaldori stopped moving in their tanks. Even the Morthax delegation looked uncertain. Marcus had gotten up. With a broken arm and cracked ribs and blood running down his face, he had gotten up. Grath's eyes narrowed. Why do you not submit? You cannot win. You know you cannot win. I know. Marcus spit blood onto the sand. But I am not fighting to win. Then what are you fighting for? To show you what humans are. He attacked. It was not smart. It was not tactical. It was just a man with a broken arm, throwing himself at a monster. Grath caught him easily, grabbed him by the chest, and squeezed. Marcus felt his ribs crack further. The world started to go dark, but his good hand was free. Elena's voice echoed in his memory. Below the left arm, the nerve cluster. Marcus drove his elbow into the spot Elena had described. He put everything he had into it. Every bit of strength. Every ounce of rage. Every moment of pain. The effect was immediate. Grath's left side went rigid. His grip loosened. He stumbled back, shock written on his reptilian face. Marcus fell to the sand again. He could not breathe properly. Something inside him was broken, maybe many things. But he was still moving. He crawled toward Grath. The Morthax was trying to recover. His left arm hung limp at his side. He was still dangerous, still deadly, but he was hurt now. Hurt by a human half his size. Submit, Marcus gasped. This can end. Never. Grath lunged with his good arm. Marcus was ready this time. He rolled under the swing and came up behind the Morthax. His one working hand found Grath's neck. He wrapped his arm around it, squeezing with everything he had left. Grath thrashed. He slammed Marcus against the arena wall. Once, twice, 3 times. Marcus felt more bones break. His vision went white with pain. But he did not let go. Submit, he whispered into Grath's ear. The Morthax kept fighting. But he was slowing. The nerve damage was spreading. His movements became sluggish. 40-7 minutes. That was how long the fight lasted. 47 minutes of pain and blood and refusal to stop. Finally, Grath fell to his knees. Marcus released his grip and stepped back. He could barely stand. His broken arm hung at an impossible angle. Blood dripped from wounds he could not count. But he was still on his feet. "Submit," he said one more time. Grath looked up at him. There was something in his eyes that had not been there before. Not fear, not anger, respect. "I submit," Lord Grath said. The arena erupted. The Vethni delegation rose to their feet as one. They placed their right hands over their chests, a gesture of warrior respect that they had not offered an outsider in 3 centuries. The Kaldori flashed colors of admiration. Even some of the Morthacs nodded grudgingly. Marcus did not see any of it. The moment Grath submitted, his legs gave out. He collapsed onto the sand and did not move. The next hours were a blur. Medical teams rushed onto the field. They loaded him onto a stretcher and took him to the finest medical facility on Accord Prime. Princess Vera ran alongside the stretcher the whole way, holding his unbroken hand. "You stupid, brave, impossible human," she whispered. "Stay with me. Stay with me." He drifted in and out of consciousness. He heard doctors speaking in voices he did not understand. He felt machines doing things to his body that seemed impossible. At some point, the pain faded to a distant hum. When he finally woke up properly, he was in a white room filled with sunlight. Princess Vera sat beside his bed. Her eyes were red from crying, but she smiled when she saw him awake. "You lived," she said. "Told you I was too stubborn to die. You have a broken arm, 4 broken ribs, a fractured skull, internal bleeding, and more bruises than they could count. The doctors said they have never seen someone survive injuries like that. I have always been special." Vera laughed, a sound that seemed to fill the room with light. "My father wants to speak with you. When you are ready, he wants to offer you a formal position in the court. A title, lands, whatever you want." Marcus was quiet for a moment. He thought about his old life. The cargo ship. The lonely runs through empty space. The noodles he ate alone every night. "What about you?" he asked. "What do you want?" Vera's cheeks flushed silver, the Lunari version of a blush. "I want you to stay. With us. With me. Is that an official request?" "It is a personal one." Marcus reached out and took her hand. It was cool and soft against his battered skin. "Then I guess I'm staying. But I have one condition. Anything. Real coffee. Imported from Earth. Every morning." Vera smiled so brightly it hurt to look at her. "I already ordered it. It should arrive next week. Then we have a deal." 1 month later, Marcus stood on a balcony in the Lunari Palace. The crystal spires of Seraphel stretched out before him, glittering in the eternal twilight. Noodle the cat slept on a cushion behind him, purring softly. Princess Vera joined him, wrapping her arm through his. "They are writing songs about you," she said. "The human who defeated a Morthax lord. They say you did it with one hand while reciting Earth poetry. I do not know any poetry." "I know." I corrected them. They did not listen. Marcus laughed. It still hurt a little when he laughed, but less every day. "You know," he said, "I used to think humans did not belong out here. That we were just playing catch-up with species who had been in space for thousands of years. And now?" Marcus looked out at the stars, the same stars that his ancestors had looked up at and dreamed about. "Now I think the galaxy was not ready for us. But we are here anyway. And we are not going anywhere." Vera leaned her head against his shoulder. "No, you are not." Somewhere in the palace, a servant was preparing Marcus's morning coffee. Somewhere in the galaxy, rumors were spreading about the human who had changed everything. And somewhere in his own heart, Marcus Cole finally felt like he belonged. It had taken a princess, an assassination, and a fight he should not have survived. But he had found his place among the stars, and it was only the beginning.